Both my grandmothers were watercolor artists, each with their own style. They also were both on a budget, and they were quite handy, and so they did their own matting and framing of their art before they prepared it to sell or to give away. And so throughout my childhood, I have these very vivid experiences with both of my grandmothers, of them showing me how you cut a mat and fit it in the frame, and how the mat and the frame that you picked changed what was brought out of the painting. So maybe you had a landscape with some water and some clouds, and if you put a blue mat and a dark blue frame around the edge, it would bring out more of the water, or if you had some white, it would bring out the clouds. Same painting, same picture, but what surrounded it, the frame, changed how you would see that piece of art. Tonight we will hear the Passion narrative. It's a story that's been told for generations and generations and generations. It's the same story. It's the same painting. But the frame matters. Depending on our frame, consciously or unconsciously, this story has a different effect on us personally, on us collectively as the church. It gives us different insights into the life and the purpose of Jesus. And it matters because the way that we frame and live this story can have life-giving outcomes or harmful ones. There's a note in our bulletin tonight from our bishop here in our diocese, along with many bishops across the Episcopal Church, urging us to look particularly on this Good Friday at the harm that's been done by Christians to the Jewish people. And our bishop urges us not only to renounce the historic anti-Semitism that's endangered our Jewish siblings, but also to be attentive to the language and the liturgy that we use, and notice how it may have fueled anti-Semitic sentiments in the past, and how we can be part of not just noticing that, but repenting, repair. So the frame matters. The frame to this story matters for us personally, too, in our own relationship with God, our relationship to what does Jesus mean to us. Some of us here maybe have taught at some point that this story was one about God being angry, and that anger could only be appeased by the death of Jesus. As a pastor, Stephen Garnes Holmes puts it, God did not send Jesus to die for your salvation. God doesn't need any more gore, and you're already saved. Jesus came to love. God wanted Jesus to live, but we, humanity, killed him. The cross is not God's plan, but it's our injustice. It's another lynching, another Nazi gas chamber, another shooting. What saves us is not that Jesus takes God's punishment. It's that he takes our human injustice and swallows it up with love. We're not saved by Jesus' suffering. Plenty of people have suffered. What saves us is Jesus' forgiveness. The mystery is that in Jesus on the cross, we see both ourselves and God. We see our sin. Jesus' wounds are evidence of how we judge and hurt other people. And we also see God's grace, that even as humanity tortured Jesus to death, that Jesus forgives them, forgives us. So yes, Jesus dies because of our sin, but he dies with us, not instead of us, dies for love, not for punishment. And this love saves us from our life-stealing fear. God's grace releases us from that fear of guilt and death and sets us free to receive life as a gift and in turn to love one another as we have been loved. And so as we prepare to hear this sacred story this night, I invite us to reflect on what are the frames, consciously or unconsciously, that we have held around this picture in the past. And what are the frames that God is calling and inviting you, me, all of us to hold as we listen to this sacred story? Amen.